I saw those demons. They were there, I'm certain. But my friend says he didn't see anything. If that's true, does that mean what I saw was an illusion? But whether that demon that ate human beings was real, or whether it was some kind of hallucination that my mind dreamed up, one thing I know for sure is that I'm beyond all hope. The town of Silent Hill can mean different things depending on who enters it. Though Silent Hill knows no true form, those unfortunate enough to find themselves there are confronted with demons, monsters, and dangers beyond comprehension. In this video, we'll focus on Silent Hill 2 as we follow James Sunderland, a man who is attempting to find his late wife, Mary. 3 years after her passing, James mysteriously receives a letter from her. In this letter, she asks him to come and find her in their special place, Silent Hill. Despite her passing, James ventures forth into Silent Hill, determined to find her. On his journey, what James discovers is nothing short of discomforting. Endless fog, frightening creatures, and people more insane than he. Silent Hill 2 is a beautifully dark game, one that juggles themes of loneliness, sexuality, mental illness, and guilt. This all ultimately leads to its main point that we often delude ourselves to avoid painful truths. While we can kid ourselves for some time, it is in the deep fog of Silent Hill that we somehow see our clearest. Now that we've prepared for our journey, I think it's time we start to make our way towards the inside of Silent Hill. Once we're out, I doubt you'll see yourself the same way ever again.
In my restless dreams, I see that town. Silent Hill.
Silent Hill 2 begins with an introduction of our main character, James Sunderland, staring at himself in a mirror. The area is extremely dirty and lifeless. As he exits the premises, we are read a letter by Mary, his late wife. Allegedly, Mary is in Silent Hill and is awaiting James's arrival. Thus, our journey begins. Immediately, one thing is abundantly clear. Silent Hill is consumed by fog. It's impossible to avoid. It's so thick that even if someone were to be standing just a few feet away from James, we could easily miss them. The effect is immediate. Loneliness. Loneliness is something most of us try to actively avoid. Whether it be by joining a club or going to a bar with friends, we are hardwired to want to socialize, to want companionship. I know at least one of you nerds is thinking something like, I love being alone, I'm an introvert, blah blah blah. And you know what? You're probably right, but you also probably look like this. So, I'm just fucking around. But seriously, even the most introverted introvert needs to socialize with other people. If you don't, you're gonna lose your mind. Perhaps the most famous example of this would be the movie Taxi Driver. To be very, very brief, the main character, Travis Bickle, is a taxi driver aimlessly roaming the streets of New York, disconnected from his society because of his odd behaviors and weird points of view. Despite being around people constantly, he is still alone. Eventually, Travis becomes insane and plans to hurt other people around him. Just like Travis roams New York aimlessly, so does James. He roams Silent Hill without anyone near him for the most part. Though James meets people along his journey, the conversations are really jarring and they don't really offer anything of substance or any kind of meaningful connection. While we have yet to establish some more psychoanalysis, the fog backs up the delusional aspect of the characters in the game. Just as they delude themselves from the truth, the fog too literally blocks their vision. The delusions of James's mind have become personified. his mental fog becoming a physical one. Silent Hill pulls in people for different reasons. No two people are called there for the same reason. And for that reason, what Silent Hill is to one person may not be for the other. For instance, from James's point of view, Silent Hill is foggy and filled with monsters, but to the character Laura, Silent Hill is apparently perfectly fine. No monsters whatsoever. With that being said, at times there is some overlap between what two Silent Hill wanderers are able to see. Though James encounters very few people on his journey, each seem to experience a different version of the Silent Hill that James is exploring. As we have been discussing, Silent Hill mirrors one's own psyche, so it makes sense that the town is different for everyone. And if we follow this line of thinking, one can only imagine what a mentally ill person's version of Silent Hill would conjure.
From now on, if anyone makes fun of me, I'll kill them. Just like that.
Eddie is a character James first encounters in the apartments, right while he's puking his guts out. The dialogue between the two is short and very odd. Without being prompted, Eddie starts to claim he had nothing to do with the dead body in the freezer. He sounds overly defensive, which really implies he probably did have something to do with it.
It wasn't me. I didn't do it.
Do what?
I didn't do anything. I swear. He was like this when I got here.
Immediately, Eddie comes across as a troubled individual. Given what we know about Silent Hill, that makes us have to consider why the town is choosing to show Eddie what it does. From Eddie's point of view, Silent Hill seems like a relatively calmer place. In one of their conversations, Eddie seems confused when James makes reference to the monsters chasing him, and he is also seen eating a freshly made pizza, which is just absurd. I mean, where would he have gotten this pizza in Silent Hill? Domino's? The fuck out of here. As the journey continues, Eddie gradually becomes more unstable as he does truthful. Slowly we learn about the reason Silent Hill is calling to him. It is revealed to us through dialogue and numerous small details that Eddie has been made fun of for his weight very often in his life. So much so that it's very obviously a big insecurity of his. Once Eddie reached his breaking point, he snapped, and he actually unalived one of his abusers. So on his journey through Silent Hill, the town is forcing him to confront the bad he has done. He must confront Laura, who openly bullies him for his weight. Lastly, his vision of the town keeps forcing Eddie to see the unalived body that he is responsible for. We can deduce that Eddie has been denying his feelings of guilt, so much so that it has driven him insane.
Don't get all holy on me, James. This town called you too. You and me are the same. We're not like other people. Don't you know that?
In this mentally ill state of mind, he has been sucked into the black hole that is Silent Hill. In order for Eddie to escape, he must come to terms with what he has done. He must experience the darkness over and over in a never-ending loop. It's undeniable that when Silent Hill calls you for a visit, you may as well be stepping into your own self-consciousness. And the only way to escape it is by confronting what you run from.
Thank you for saving me. But I wish you hadn't. Even Mama said it. I deserved what happened.
No, Angela, that's wrong.
Another character James encounters on his journey is Angela. Like Eddie and James, Angela has been called by Silent Hill. James meets Angela basically immediately on his journey. While walking to Silent Hill, James finds Angela observing a tombstone before the two get into a conversation. Just like with Eddie, their conversation is bizarre, barely making any kind of sense. We manage to gather that she is looking for her mother, who she believes to be in Silent Hill. As James continues on his journey to find Mary, he bumps into Angela a couple more times, each revealing a new layer to her character, both explicitly and implicitly. We learn that Angela was unfortunately wronged by her father, like, a lot. I can't directly say why because I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable, and also YouTube is ran by spineless Swifties, but think of Butch's story in Pulp Fiction or that one scene in Clockwork Orange. You know the one I'm talking about. So yeah, Angela has experienced some really horrible things. Things that nobody deserves, frankly. Further into the game, there's a newspaper clipping that reveals Angela's father was unalived by someone with a kitchen utensil, and the game heavily implies the person is Angela. She wields a KN-wife minus the W, wink wink, on one encounter, and in several snippets of dialogue, it's clear she resents her father and what he did to her. Once again, we can tie this into our thesis that Silent Hill is a reflection of one's own psyche, and the town pulled Angela there to confront her trauma and her actions. From her point of view, Silent Hill is and has been on fire since her arrival. Angela's journey in Silent Hill is easily the most tragic. She is easily the most sympathetic character, only doing what she did out of self-defense and after years of awful behavior. Regardless, it's clear she buries the abuse and what she did to her father. I mean, who wouldn't? Though it wasn't her fault, Silent Hill presents her with the truth so she can no longer deny what she's experienced. Sexuality plays a big role in Silent Hill 2. Many of the creatures James encounters are designed in a way that is revealing or just really suggestive. In Angela's story, we just found out about the horrible things done to her by her own father. The significance of sexualization will become clear when we discuss James, but for now, let's talk about Maria, who is undeniably the character that most represents this theme.
Mary? No, you're not.
Do I look like your girlfriend?
No, my late wife.
If Angela is the most disturbed character, Maria is the most confusing. To be completely transparent, there are so many different interpretations of Maria, but for this video, we'll stick with the interpretation that aligns with our established line of thinking. But while we can certainly fit Maria into our thesis, she's a lot more complicated. Eddie and Angela are presumably real people with their own lives and motivations outside of James's. As far as we know, James has never met these two prior to visiting Silent Hill. And on paper, James has technically never met Maria before going to Silent Hill. And I know what you're thinking. What the hell do you mean he's technically never met her? Well, to be honest, I'm just not gonna tell you. I'm just gonna skip it.
I'm the giant rat that makes all of the rules.
I'll spill. Basically, Maria bears a shocking resemblance to James's late wife, Mary. James even comments on how she can be her twin.
I can't believe it. You could be her twin. Your face, your voice, just your hair and clothes are different.
My name is Maria.
Despite the similarities in their appearance, and even their names being similar, and even Maria somehow having memories that are Mary's, she insists that she isn't Mary. Well, okay, from what we can gather, she's not Mary, but rather an idealized version of her that James has created in his mind. Just like how Eddie is able to see pizza and Angela fire, Maria is a complete figment of James's imagination. She's like Mary, but she dresses more provocatively and is generally more attractive and sexual. For instance, she flirts with James a lot, even giving him the go-ahead to do what he wants with her. So if we try to contextualize Maria from James's point of view, why is Silent Hill presenting him with her? What is the town trying to tell him? Well, let's look closer.
Could Mary really be there? Is she really alive? Waiting for me?
We've examined the Silent Hill that Eddie and Angela experienced, but we haven't gotten the chance to look into James's version of the town. But let's go over what we know. He's been called to Silent Hill after allegedly receiving a letter from his late wife, Mary. In his journey, he meets troubled individuals and a woman who is eerily similar to his wife. James's version of Silent Hill is filled with fog and horrible monsters that never seem to let up. While many of these monsters torment James, one is more daunting than any other: Pyramid Head. As the name implies, his face is, well, a pyramid. Go figure. Pyramid Head doesn't seem to harass James for any particular reasons, but it seems James and Maria are the only ones who can see him. In fact, multiple times in the game, Maria is unalived by Pyramid Head. It almost seems like he has some sort of bone to pick with her specifically. Let's keep that in mind. Pyramid Head is not only dangerous, but at times also Clockwork Orangey. In one scene, we observe Pyramid Head Clockwork Oranging two mannequins. Given how we are interpreting a trip to Silent Hill, one has to wonder what this all has to do with James. What's with the letter he received? Was it real? Is Mary really alive? Who is Maria? In the last leg of the game, James visits a hotel he once stayed at with Mary. To his surprise, it's basically exactly the same. And it is here that he finally finds a videotape and presses play.
Are you taping again? Come on. I don't know why, but I just love it here. It's so peaceful. You know what I heard? This whole area used to be a sacred place. I think I can see why. It's too bad we have to leave. Please promise you'll take me again, James.
At long last, we know why this town has called him. James has been suppressing what he did to Mary this entire time, and Silent Hill's been trying to show him the truth. He has been feeling guilty, and he has been in denial about what he's done. Now knowing the truth, we can recontextualize core elements of his story. Recall that Mary had been in the hospital for 3 years up until he did what he did to her. These 3 years must have been a very long time, leaving him very lonely, depressed, and most of all, sexually frustrated. Unable to do anything with his wife, he must have developed fantasies for the nurses or other women in general. When Pyramid Head was clockwork oranging those mannequins, this was meant to symbolize James's desire for sexual relations, which leads us to Maria, the ultimate recreation James's mind has made for himself. Maria is the flirtatious and willful version of Mary that James had wished for while she was ill. Feeling like Mary's suffering was too much to bear, he decides to take action into his own hands by ending Mary's life, an act which is recreated multiple times by Pyramid Head to show him the truth. And lastly, the fog, a symbol for the delusions James has not only fed himself, but completely lost his sanity to. It is only through the videotape James can no longer deny what he's done. All along, Silent Hill was trying to make James confront the truth, but all the while, James was trying to delude himself with nonsensical fantasies. Why else would it make any sense for James to receive a letter from Mary? Clearly, it was fabricated. James didn't want to address what he had done. In a twisted way, Pyramid Head is the good guy of the story. He is trying to show James the truth by reenacting what James had done and thought for so many years. In essence, he is trying to hold a mirror up to James. In this way, James's story ties up every central theme of the game and punctuates the fact that in a creepy way, we all have our own personal version of Silent Hill within us. Silent Hill 2 is a beautifully layered game. It's rich with themes, symbolism, and character depth. Within the game, we're able to explore a physical version of its character's inner thoughts and demons. Each character is quite literally a world of detail to unpack and dissect, which all coincide with our main character. Eddie and Angela were overcome with grief about what they had done to someone, just like James. Angela and Maria accentuate the repressed sexual thoughts James had been burying for the last couple of years. And Pyramid Head is all of that and then some. To be frank, there is so much detail in this game that I really haven't even scratched the surface of it, to be honest. And this is only one interpretation of it. Hell, we didn't even get to talk about Laura in this video, who's a whole other can of worms. If you're curious to learn more, I heavily recommend this 4-hour analysis on the game, which I'll link down below. All in all, Silent Hill 2 is a journey into the mind. If you were to visit Silent Hill, what would you see? Silent Hill exists within all of us. We all have a darkness within us that we like to ignore. Whatever it may be, perhaps after this video you'll feel encouraged to tackle your issues head on. If you pretend like it isn't there, you'll drive yourself mad with guilt or whatever nasty feelings come with it. So when you find the free time, maybe a visit to Silent Hill might be a nice trip.
I'd like to walk around in your mind someday. I'd like to walk all over the things you say to me. I'd like to run and jump on your solitude. I'd like to read.
I'm dressing all black for a reason. Want to welcome you guys all to my
Drake's
funeral.